Thanks for renting from Easy Camper Rental. This is a walkthrough of the 20-foot adventure hauler. It is a 20-foot box length and a 20-foot total length, and it's 8.5 feet wide. 3 days prior to your pickup date, you will receive an email with an online document to sign. Once you have signed and finalized those documents, you will receive a final email with the exact pickup location and the code for the combo locks on the trailer. The drop-off location will be the same as the pickup location unless otherwise agreed. Please return the camper clean inside and outside unless the Easy Clean add-on has been selected, which can be selected at any time. Also remember, when you're towing, this is a low-profile trailer, so it should be only towed on developed roads with minimal off-road, and also make sure that the entrance and exit to any gas stations or things like that it's not too steep, or else it will drag on the back and cause some damage. Also remember to always think 10 feet above you and 30 feet behind you, and take the corners wide, and just drive slow and drive defensively. So as you arrive to your pickup destination, the trailer will be ready. It'll just be all locked up, so you can get the keys out of the trailer by putting the combo in here, and then the keys are right here. So we'll grab this, and then on these keys you'll have three. You'll have one to the door, which most likely you're not going to need because you have these combo locks on all the doors. You'll have this key, which is to the hitch pin lock on the included adjustable hitch, and then you'll have this one which says master on it, which is to the hitch lock. So over here we've got the hitch lock. So let's go ahead and take this off, and then we'll hook up the tow vehicle. Okay, let's go ahead and hook up the tow vehicle now. And so this is the adjustable hitch that's included. You will use the 2 5/16 inch ball. This is the bigger of the two. Obviously you can use your own hitch if you want. This is included. And then it has a locking hitch pin, which the key for it is on the key ring. And I would recommend putting the key in and then twisting the other side, because it twists off. So that's the easiest way to get it on and off. The next thing is that in the cabinet above the sink, there is this tape measure. It's the easiest way to get a level tow. And all tow vehicles are going to be different because of different squats, but about 19 inches from the ground to the top of the ball, once the adjustable hitch is on the tow vehicle. That'll get you close to a level tow there. And then when you back up, obviously you want the ball to go underneath the coupler. And then you're going to crank down. Now you'll crank this jack all the way up, but for purposes of this video I'm not going to do that. And then the lock will go into place like so, and you'll put the pin through. Now sometimes this lock doesn't go all the way forward. That's because the ball is too far back in the coupler. So an easy way to fix that is just to pull the tow vehicle forward. It'll usually just pop into place. The next thing, we're going to hook up the chains. Now you can twist these chains to take up some slack if you need to. And then the trailer breakaway cable, which should be hooked independently. If you can't, you can hook it to the chain, but what it does is if everything else fails, it's going to pull the trailer brakes and lock those up so it doesn't roll away. And then the 7-way connection, you will need this to tow this vehicle. And then if you've rented the trailer brake controller from us, the Bluetooth one, there's another video for that in the description of this. And it's a module that goes in between these two. If you have your own trailer brake control module and you don't know how to use it, there's also a video that goes over that in the description of this video. So now we're all hooked up here, and let's go ahead and take a look at the outside of the trailer and then the inside. Okay, once you're at your destination, you can level the trailer, and we've provided a small level that's in the plastic bin in the cabinet above the sink. And then you level the trailer front to back with the tongue jack, and then you level it side to side by putting some leveling blocks under one side of the trailer wheels, and then you pull it up onto that, and I'll show you where those leveling blocks are on the inside. Then you also have your propane, so when you're traveling you want it off, and then when you get to your destination, go ahead and turn it on. This box on the front, on the tongue, is technically for a generator, but really you can put anything in it. I would recommend probably putting, if you're traveling with gas, put it in there instead of the trailer, because if it spills in the trailer, that's going to be a costly cleanup, and it also will smell like gas while you're trying to sleep in it. So just do yourself a favor and either put it in your truck or put it in here, not in the trailer. There's also a 30 amp plug here for the trailer. Just be careful when you're plugging this one in. You just go ahead and plug it in, and then it does lock in with a twist, and then this does lock on. You really don't need to screw it on that far. It's pretty well snug there. There also are some stabilizing jacks included. So again, these will be in the trailer. I'll show you where those will be. Just put these underneath the frame, and then you can screw them up to the frame, so it just makes it a little more stable while you're inside the trailer. And there's not really anything to note on the driver's side of the trailer. However, there are two stabilizing jacks, and I'm not sure if I can get a picture of these down here, but oh, there they are. They're right there. So there's two there, and they swing down. They're kind of hard to get to and to get into place, but if you want to put those down, they'll also give more stability on the back of this trailer. Again, going to the back of here, we've got the cargo door. So we have two latches here, one on this side, one on this side. And then there's only one lock. Again, all the locks for the combo locks will be the same. You'll have that code. So we go ahead and unlatch this cargo door. And just be careful when you're pulling it down and what surface you're on. And obviously don't tow it away with this cargo door down, because it would be very expensive. Realistically, anything broken in this trailer gets really expensive really fast because it's all custom. There are some lights on the back here, and that light switch is right here in the rear. Those will work off the 12-volt battery. And then on this side, the only thing to note, there are some LED lights on the side too. Again, we'll work off the 12-volt battery. And so let's go ahead and go inside the trailer and show you the rest. Now we're inside the trailer, and I'm just going to go front to back here. So this cabinet above the sink, again, there is an instruction manual in case you didn't watch this video or listen to anything I said. And there's this plastic bin which has all sorts of goodies in it. There's an adapter from 30 to 15, some lighters, some testers, some adapters. This is an adapter to go from a reducer sleeve to go from 2.5 inch to 2 inch. The shank on the adjustable hitch is 2 inch, but if you have a heavy duty truck, the receiver is 2.5 inch, so you'll need to use that. So that's all that in that cabinet there. The stove here. So you just go ahead and lift this up. Obviously you'd want that down while you're towing it, but you lift that up to cook with, because you don't want too much heat over here that might melt, and that could get very costly. So you just light it by turning the light. Obviously propane needs to be on, turn it to light, and then you light it with a stick lighter, and then turn it off when you're done. In the cabinet below this is actually your fresh water tank. So it's 15 gallons. You can refill it if you want. It's really easy. So there's just this big cap here. And then this is a freshwater hose, so only use this for fresh water, because that's only what it's designed to. You don't want to contaminate that hose. And then over here we've got the sink. It does run off of the water pump here, so you have the water pump switch. So right here, top on, bottom off, and then you want it off unless you're using it. And then below this you will have this hose here, which this hose is used to drain the bathtub, which I'll get to later. And then you have this gray water tank, which has a quick release. So all this does is just lift up on this green part, and it quick releases You just kind of gotta watch out for the water that's in the trap there, so it doesn't all leak out. And then you can take this and go dump it wherever you need to. And then we made it clear so you can see how much is in there. Doesn't overflow on you. And then we've got our heater right here. This is a catalytic heater. And then just this will need to be covered anytime it's not in use, because dust can really damage it. So just make sure it's covered when you're not using it. And then when you're taking it off, just there could be some sharp edges. So just, you know, be careful to not cut yourself or the cover. There are some instructions right here. You'll want to crack the roof vent and the window on the door 1/4 of an inch, just so there's some airflow for it to burn. And then just follow the instructions here. Just know on 2 and 3, this can, when it's lighting, it can kind of like flame up quite a bit. And it might scare you. I know it's done that to me. So I actually stand pretty far back when I'm doing it. And just know that flame is normal. That's not anything abnormal. And then when you get to 4, this flame actually goes out. So just know when the flame goes out, that's not anything wrong. And then just, you know, continue and then obviously if it didn't work, there would stop being heat coming from it. But if there's heat coming from it, it's good. And know that it does create condensation on the walls because it's not vented. It's not a ton, but you just, depending on how cold it is outside, just make sure you don't put any clothes or anything you don't want to potentially get wet against the walls. And then some other things over here, we've got our hot water heater, we've got the cooler, we've got this bin right here, and this is where you're going to have the adjustable hitch. There's a bunch of strap downs, there's the rings for the E-track, which all this will go over more. And then there might be some chocks in there and some other items. That's where the stabilizing jacks will be too. And these are just held on with a lashing. Again, anytime you're putting the lashing on, you don't really need to like really tighten it down. Just make it snug. You don't want to pull it away from the wall. So that's what you do with those lashings. Again, don't stack anything. I know it might seem like it'd be a good idea to take this cooler and stack it on top of this one, but the problem is you got all these hoses right here that could damage. Could also damage the toilet here. So just don't stack those. You can move them around. This Husky one is pretty heavy, so it pretty much stays in place while traveling anyways. So you can move this cooler to somewhere else if you're trying to get more room in the cargo area. Sometimes it's easier to like put it over here if there's like a side-by-side in or something like that. But just know you can move those around, just don't stack them. The best thing with the cooler, if you've never used a cooler before, dry ice is really good. It cools down fast with dry ice, or you can just use regular ice. And then like any other cooler, there is on the other side, there is a drain. So just go ahead and drain the water when there's too much water there. And then this area, there is a curtain right here, so it's a privacy area for changing, for taking a shower, for using the toilet. You can use this privacy curtain, and then it's held onto the wall like this, and then we just put it behind the lashing. It seems to work pretty well. And then with the on-demand water heater, and then this is the tub right here. Again, it's just held on by the lashings, and again, when you take it off or put it back on, don't tighten the lashings like super tight. You just need to get it snug and make sure it's all there. With this, we've the top of the tub is already all connected together. All we do is just disconnect all the legs so then it lays flat here. I'm going to go ahead and set this up, kind of move things out of the way here, and show you how to work this with the hot water heater now. Okay, we've got the bathtub set up here. Again, all we had to do was just put the legs in, and then when you break it down, just take the legs out. And then set it up like this. And then you do have the privacy curtain that can go all the way around there, so you have privacy for changing or taking a little shower, or going to the bathroom, of course. And then first thing I want to show you here is this hook right here is for a towel. you'll want to put that on so that it drapes over the top of this breaker box. We put that there specifically for that reason. So if you're taking a bath, then you're not splashing water onto the breaker box, because that could be a bad deal. And then with the hot water heater, the first thing you'll want to do is turn the water pump on, and then you'll want to turn the water on to the water heater, so turn that valve. The next thing you'll want to do is set the recommended settings. It's just a good spot. You can mess around with those later, but good to just start there. And then take this with you, the shower head, because this is how you're going to control the flow of the water. And then sit down in the bathtub, and you don't have very much fresh water to work with. So what you're going to do is you're just going to rinse off. So you turn it on, rinse off, turn it off, lather up with soap or shampoo or whatever, and then turn it on and then rinse that all off. So it's going to be a quick shower. Honestly, that's really how it is in pretty much all RVs. There's not a ton of space anyways, so this really isn't that much different. That's how you do it. And then you go ahead and just hang this back up here. Again, make sure it's off. Turn the water pump off here. Turn the valve off here. Make sure these are also both off there. And then you can dry off with your towel. And then to drain the tub here, it's actually really easy. So again, there is this hose in here. So it's a long hose used specifically for this. So you'll take that hose, you will connect it right down here, and then you've got this ball valve. So you connect it, run the hose outside to, wherever you want to drain the water. It's a pretty long hose. And then you'll come back inside and flip this valve, and then you just drain all the water out of it. And then once it's all drained out, just wipe it out so it's at least somewhat dry in there. And then you can pull all these legs back out and flatten it back down, and then put it up against the wall with the lashing straps. Again, when you put it against the wall with the lashing straps, you just make it snug. You don't have to pull on it tight like Paul Bunyan or something. So that's how that is done. Now we can go over the operation of the toilet here really quick. So pretty simple, but first things first, no matter what gender you are, sit down to go pee. It will help everyone out, because if you're standing up and peeing and it's splashing on the walls, on the floor, the trailer's going to smell like pee. So do yourself and everyone else a favor and just sit down to go pee. So that's the first thing. There's this little flap back here. This indicates the freshwater tank for the rinse, which is battery operated. You just push this button and it will rinse it out. After you're done going, this is the flush valve. So you go like this, and then you might need to push this a couple times, rinse it out, and maybe flush it again or so. You don't have very much waste tanks, so just be very careful with what you're doing. This indicator down here, it will go red if it's full. And then when it is full, to dump it, the first thing you need to do is just pull this out. And then you're going to be able to take this off of the wall, or off the floor there. Again, it does get kind of heavy with all the waste and then the fresh water in it. And then the back here, you will separate using this. So you slide this to the side, and then that will separate the front, or the top and the bottom. I'm just going to go ahead and put this down and do the rest. So we're going to pull this to the side here. It's going to release the top from the bottom. Again, this is full of water, so it's kind of heavy. And then here, what we have is, this is where the waste comes out. It has a cap on it, so leave that on until you're ready to dump it. This is a pressure release button here. And then this is if you need to open that up, and you can do that manually. So what you'll do is you can take this to a vault toilet or a flushing toilet. You just gotta be careful how much you're putting in there every time you flush, or a dump station. And then you would take this cap off and then angle this correctly, and then you go ahead and dump out And while you're doing that, push this button here to release the pressure and then dump it all out. It's best to rinse it all out, so if you really want to get in there, get it rinsed out and then dump it again just to make sure it's all clean and good to go. That's the best thing to do. Go ahead and put the cap back on here. Put this back in place. Again, do all of this carefully. If something's not going, don't try and force it. Just try and figure out why it's not first. So I'll put that there. And then you can just slide this back into place here. And then snap this back into place. You're good to go. Okay, let's go over some cargo tie downs. So in this red bin, in this bag, will be the E-Track loops. There's a little lever on this, and you pull the lever up, and then you put it in the E-Track, and then put it down and let the lever go, and it's locked into place. And then there's two different straps in here. There's the straps where you just pull tight. These are more for motorcycles, maybe four-wheelers or so. And then there's 4 of these ratchet straps. Now if you're loading a side-by-side, the easiest way to load a side-by-side is to pull it all the way forward, because you want to get most of your weight over the axle here. You want a good level distribution of weight in here. So just keep that in mind when you're loading things. But you want to bring it all the way forward, or if it's the only thing, just most of the weight over the axles here. And then you're actually going to tie down the wheel itself. So if you pull onto the E-Track one side of the side-by-side, so preferably this side, so it leaves more room on this side to pack stuff in, then you would go ahead and pull it up, and then on one side of the wheel put a loop, and then you're going to loop this around the wheel, and then loop it to, and then hook it to this side, and ratchet the actual wheel and tire down. That's the easiest way to do it. If you do 2, the front and the back, and then it's in park, it's really all you need to do. If you want to put another one on it, that's fine. But that's the best way to do it. And another pro tip on that is if you are bringing a side-by-side, it's easiest to just load a bunch of stuff up into the side-by-side first, and then pull it up into the trailer. And that way you're not trying to load a bunch of stuff around it. Just load it into the side-by-side, pull it in, and then when you pull it out, it's all there too. So that's makes it easier. To do motorcycles, again, they're going to be in the middle. They're going to be perpendicular to the E-Track. Rocky Mountain ATV has a really good video on this. It's in the description of this video, so I'd recommend watching that. But just really quickly, do not put anything against the walls. It's going to damage the walls. It's going to be a lot of money. Do not put anything against the walls. So how you'll do it is you'll use these straps. You'll do 2 on front, and then you'll do 1 on the rear. On the rear, you'll hook to the foot peg, so it has that back pressure. So you'll hook it to the foot peg, and then when you're pulling down, instead of pulling the bike forward into the wall, it'll just pull the forks down. I use a fork saver, not necessarily to save the forks, but it just helps keep pressure on it, keeps it a lot more stable. So if you have a fork saver, that's the best thing to use with dirt bikes and things like that. Again, 4-wheelers you can probably put side to side if you can maneuver it that way, or parallel the E-Track and just tie it down however you want. You could do the wheels like a side-by-side if you wanted to. So that's how the cargo area works. Now let's go over the sleeping area. Okay, this is the sleeping area of the trailer. You do have 2 bunks. You have a bunk on this side, a bunk on this side, both against the wall, so you can load cargo in here. And then back here, you can put a queen-size mattress in this area, so you can sleep 6. You could probably even put more bedding up there too, so you could sleep maybe even 8 if you really want to get snug in here. And then back here, you do have a step ladder to get in and out of the top bunk. There's also a folding lifetime table. Just again, be careful with the table. They unfold like any other lifetime table, but don't force anything. Just unfold it like it's supposed to be, and don't break it. You do have some gear hooks. Again, do not exceed 10 pounds on these hooks. So they're designed for a helmet, goggles, riding pants, stuff like that. Obviously, you can put whatever you want on them. Just don't exceed 10 pounds. Again, this lashing strap and any other lashing strap, don't pull it too tight and pull the screws out. Just pull everything snug. So I'm going to show you how to put this bunk bed down. Really, it should be done with 2 people. If you do, you can do it with 1, obviously. I'm going to do it with 1 right now. But go ahead and let this lashing down. And then it's just going to fold down, and these legs at the bottom here will kick out. Just make sure that they are secured and correct right there to get maximum stability. And then now you got a bunk bed. Any or both sides have a window. The curtain will only go one way, so it won't go that way, it'll just go this way. And then you can't open the window if you want to. So that's the bunk beds. And then if you want to put this down into a sofa, again, be very careful with this. Just take your time, don't force anything. But there is a wing nut up here at the top. So you take this wing nut off. Again, keep track of all of this. And then you're gonna pull this bolt out. There in between the metal is a nylon washer. So keep track of that. And then what you're gonna do is just put this down here. You're going to put the wing nut back on so you don't lose it. Then we're going to go to the other side and do the same thing. Go ahead and take the wing nut off. Be careful with the washer and everything so you don't lose it. Again, this is easier done with 2 people. Right now I've got to hold the top bunk up. And then now it's just going to fold down here. And then you can take these legs and just fold them out of the way. And now you got yourself a sofa. Again, you can put the table up, you can eat, so on, whatever you want to do. Again, the other bunk does the exact same thing. Now I'm going to put it back up. So again, move these legs out of the way. I'm going to pull the top bunk up, put this leg up here. Probably should have taken the wing nut off first, but again, this is easy with 2 people. And I'm basically just putting it back together. And just tighten the wing nut just snug. And that nylon washer goes in between the metal. Again, this wing nut's just going to be snug. Then I'm going to lift up down here. Make sure these fall down. I'm going to get my lashing straps here. And then when you do this lashing, it goes up through the bottom. And then you just pull it snug. So just make sure this bottom part, the bottom part of the bunk goes in. So it's going to be loose in the middle. And it's more important that it's snug on the ends. So again, just make sure it's snug, make sure it's all in place, and then again, you're good to load anything you need to into here. All right, to cover a few other items before we go, again, the light switch for the rear lights is right here. There are 110 volt outlets throughout the trailer. There's one on the outside too. They will only work if plugged into electricity or a generator. They will not work off the battery. You do have a spare tire right here. These right here, these lights on the side of the trailer, the top side, these will work off of the 12 volt battery. And the switch is right here. So we've got 12 volt inside, 12 volt outside here. So you turn these on, and then there's a little rocker switch. So you can turn these off individually once that master switch is on. If you do have electricity, you can turn this switch on. We don't right now. And then these ceiling lights will work. You do have a broom to sweep out. There's a fire extinguisher here. There's a carbon monoxide and smoke detector right here. You do have a rear vent back here. Also, this trailer does have an air conditioner. It will only work off of a 30 amp plug-in or 3400 watts or more generator. And it is controlled off of the thermostat here. If you need screenshots on how this thermostat works, you can look at the instruction manual in the cabinet above the sink. But basically it's not going to work right now because I don't have electricity, but you'll push the mode and then you'll select the fan setting, which you'd just put it to auto, and then you'll select mode again and that will go to AC, and then you can do the temperature setting. If you push both these buttons or the arrows simultaneously, it will change between Fahrenheit and Celsius. So if you do that on accident and you're in Celsius, you can change it back by just pushing both at the same time. And then there is a furnace setting on this thermostat, but there's no furnace set up. So it's a moot setting. So just the next mode would go to furnace and then the next mode would turn it off. Again, you can see screenshots on how to operate that. It's very simple, straightforward operation on that. So that's pretty much it for the 20-foot adventure hauler. Again, it's a 20-foot box length, 8.5 feet wide, and 24-foot total length. That's what the campground will want to know, is a total length. Again, just be careful with everything. Everything in this is custom. It's a completely custom built trailer. So if you break anything, anything's going to be expensive to fix. And so just be careful what you're doing when you're towing and everything, and when you're inside the trailer. But I hope you enjoy your vacation. I hope you have an awesome time with your toys and everything. So thank you for renting from Easy Camper Rental, and I hope you enjoy your vacation.